everyone. It's Kari here. I am actually missing my co-host today, but I have a special guest with me, Linden. This conversation was sparked literally last week. I was doing a prayer walk, and God just put it on my heart that I wanted to have a conversation with other like-minded believers in the wellness space, and her name immediately popped in my mind. Even though we don't really know each other, we're connected because we both love the Lord, and we just want to have a conversation today about just how important it is to keep faith at the foundation of your healing journey and just your life in general, and also about just what we've seen, probably personally and with clients, as like kind of like a toxic part of wellness that you might not have ever thought about. So we just hope this conversation is super encouraging, and that you're just pointed towards Jesus, because he's the only one that can heal us, and he can change our hearts, change our attitudes, change our perspectives. And Lord knows we need it.
Yeah,
Right.
serious. My
So
word.
I know. Um, so I wanted to start off with a question. Like, when you think about health and wellness, where do you see Jesus fitting into that conversation?
Oh gosh. I think as I've kind of been on this health journey, it's been less of even thinking about it from the lens of like, where does he fit in as much as where is he not permeating? I think that I've realized, and I think that the best place that I've been in my health and mentally, spiritually, emotionally is when I'm in a place where I'm realizing that he permeates it all and that he's in it all.
Yeah.
Um, I think before I definitely used to make it kind of something where I would segment him into, okay, God's a part of this, but he's not a part of this, or he
Yeah.
can speak into this or not that. But yeah, the journey that the Lord really took me on was just realizing that, hey, you want to get a supplement? Let's talk about it. Hey, you're afraid of this? Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what you're feeling in your body. Let me teach you about that. And so it's been really beautiful because I think I've started to see how, man, when we think about someone creating a product or some type of machine or whatever, the person that knows the most about it is the creator of it. And I think when it comes to our bodies, it's the same. Obviously, he created us, he knows every single facet of our beings. And when you think about it that way, and just like the bio individuality of people,
Mhm.
man, there's no one better to go to than him.
Amen. Yeah, for sure. I would love it if you could share just a little bit. I mean, you could probably share a lot about your testimony as far as maybe, just weaving in the Lord and your health and all of that. But yeah, give us like the 2 or 3 minute version.
Yeah, high level overview. Well, I started walking with the Lord truly when I was 16. And I would say from then on, I mean, I had always underlying stuff, especially like mental and emotional, which really struggled with depression and suicide and self-harm. And once I moved out of my parents' house, it was kind of like a full-fledged shutdown. My body just got out of this chronic state of fight or flight. And I didn't realize that that was when my body would break down. I thought it would be a lot earlier on,
Yeah.
but it felt safe to finally be where it really was. And so I started walking through this experience of thinking that it was mold, and I do think that that was a big part of it.
Yeah.
However, it was just capitalizing on the really poor foundations that I had.
Hmm.
So lots of trauma, lots of nervous system dysregulation. I also really had struggled with an eating disorder since I was like 14. So you think about how that really weakens the body,
Oh,
nutrient
yeah.
deficiencies, immune system weakness, all the things.
Mhm.
And so it was just like my body was just being taken over by the bad. And I remember, going in and getting a blood work panel done. And she basically said, like, oh, you basically have like premenopausal hormones, but we'll just put you on some hormones and we'll do a liver detox for 2 weeks and we'll get you back on. And it just didn't sit right with me. And I have nothing against Western medicine. I think there's a huge place for it. But I just felt deep in my spirit like there just has to be a different way.
Yeah.
And so I know that you know Emily as well, but I found her page and just
Mhm.
started learning as much as I could. And for a while, I swung into the toxic health world of I was freaking out about everything under the sun. At first I thought I had Lyme disease, and then I thought I had heavy metals, and then I was like, it's mold, and I was just
Yeah.
literally losing my brain. And I honestly got sicker. I just kept getting sicker the more that I learned, the more that I was afraid, because fear is the biggest toxin in and of itself.
Mhm.
And so I really didn't pursue the Lord in any of that. I was just kind of like freaking out, trying to save myself.
Yeah.
And by God's grace, He had a bit of an intervention with me when I'm just, losing it in the corner. And He was like, I'm going to have you pull back for 30 days. All the supplements you're taking, stop. Everything that you're doing, everything you're reading, stop. Unfollow everybody. And I was like, in a way, no. These are the gods that
Right.
I've been following and worshiping. How could I leave them? How could I leave my supplements, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? But you're a way better master, so I'm going to do what you tell me to do. And for those 30 days, I prayer walked a lot, and the Lord really started addressing a lot of the trauma that I had no idea was even really there, to be completely honest. And that was one of the hardest years of my life. A lot came to the surface.
Mhm.
And I actually started working with a woman who was walking me through things like forgiveness and trauma and all of that with the Lord. And I saw about 50% of my symptoms resolve just within doing that mind, mental, emotional trauma work.
Mhm.
Lord. And so I started to see, okay, maybe I was missing a piece or, here or there. And then the Lord said, okay, let's get you back on the supplements, but let me teach you about them. Let me show you what I want you to take and what I don't want you to take. Because this plays a part. This is beneficial, but it has a place. And I really just felt like in so many different areas, the Lord was teaching me not to worship any one area, but He was teaching me how to use them all as gifts from Him and how ultimately He was my healer. And so, yeah, it was a handful of years of just walking through the Lord genuinely teaching me how to go to Him as healer and use the resources that He's provided. Because I'm really big on grounding and sunlight and water
Yeah.
and food and the basics of what God's already given us, the power that they have, and, also prayer and worship and
Mhm.
all of the things. So I feel like God's really brought me to a more well-rounded place. But yeah, my health drastically changed even while I was in mold, and improved while I was in mold. And that was really cool to see as well,
Yeah.
to just give people hope who are right now. Um, so yeah, it's a
Right.
little bit of a backstory.
Oh my gosh. If we only had hours
I know,
to unpack it
seriously.
all.
We
That
could,
is
yeah.
so amazing. Like I literally, I mean, I've followed you on social media for a bit, but I didn't know a lot of that. So, man, I mean, praise the Lord. Like he can do it. Won't he do it? I mean, it's like he
Yeah,
gives us this, you know, just a passion for health. Like we want to feel better and so we kind of dive into this health information and then he just turns that around and uses it. And of
totally.
course, I believe first like we need to be healed and then
Mhm.
he allows us, obviously we're never fully healed, but he takes that passion and now you're helping other people to,
Yeah,
see that the way that they're approaching health might actually be keeping them sick, probably, right?
exactly. That's it. That really is it. And I think
Yeah.
as I've worked with clients, that's what I've seen. If I cannot tell you how many protocols have involved unfollow everybody, stop thinking
Yeah.
about your health so much. Let's not
Right.
talk about it. And I want you to just pray over your body every single night, you know? And I'm
Why
sure
is that so hard though? Like
it's
it
so
sounds so
hard.
easy. Like, oh, that's the answer. But why
Yeah.
is it so difficult?
I think we want it to be we think we want it to be more complex. Like
Yeah.
I I don't remember what the story is in the Bible, but it was basically I can't remember who it was. Hopefully you remember because my pregnancy brain surely does not. And he told him to go wash in the river and simply dip like 3 times or something like that. And he would be healed. And he was
Yeah.
like, "No, that's too simple. They can't be that way." Well,
Yeah.
it's like, well, you can do it if you want, and if you don't, then I guess you're gonna stay sick. And he goes and he does it and he gets well. And I think we're the
Wow.
same way. We're like, man, it just has to be more complex. And the Lord's like, maybe you're just under eating. maybe
Right.
you're just really dehydrated. Maybe you have a bunch of sin in your life, and that's kind of wreaking havoc on your life too. It's
Yeah.
like, who knows? But I think that the greatest gift that we've all been given is the fact that we get to talk to God and
Right.
that He wants to talk to us and that we can hear His voice because He made us. So,
Right.
whenever we're confused, whenever we don't know, it's like, Lord, this is where
Mhm.
I'm at. What do I do?
Yeah. Um, sometimes when I'm thinking or praying about just all of these things, because they've definitely been revealed to me, and I've went through almost, I mean, our stories are probably very different, but also kind of similar because I remember realizing, that it matters what I ate, and it matters, maybe chemicals or things like that. And you just, like, it's like the pendulum swings all the way to the other side.
Totally.
And then it finally, comes down to the middle. Praise the Lord. But, you know, it's almost just so overwhelming that we just go into this automatic fear mindset. Um, I guess I just wonder how do you feel like as believers we're called to live differently? It's almost like we have to be in the world but not of the world. And if we're following the world and we're following these people on Instagram, which you might need to go unfollow some people, right? There's just a lot of fear-based marketing. And I used to, I mean, I don't know that I was like way on one extreme, but I know that that is definitely a thing that I've used in the past. And I got really convicted about a couple of years ago. Like, I can't keep doing this. It's just not, it doesn't align with my beliefs.
Yeah, that's really good. I read this book called Living Fearlessly by Jamie
Oh my
Winship.
gosh, I love that book. It's so
Changed my
amazing.
life. Like we could just end the
Yes,
podcast now,
I
period.
know. Yeah,
Book.
it's so good.
Oh, so good. And he was talking about that so much of the marketing, the advertising is purely fear-based.
Yeah.
And I agree. And I think when you pull back and you start really observing the people you're following or what you're seeing online, that it is such a fuel. But I also, realize that the devil is kind of the ruler of this age and he
Yeah.
loves to rule by fear. And so
Right.
I think that it's like such a intentional pursuit to stay abiding in Jesus and
Hmm.
is peace, because peace is a product of being one with Him, staying abiding, staying close to Him, staying near to Him. And so, yeah, I think that when it comes to fear, I don't know. I feel like most days I find myself in a battle with it more than I
Yeah.
do waking up feeling peaceful. Like today's a perfect example. I woke up and I'm like, thinking about mold in the house and, why it smells. And it was just raining for 3 days. And I'm like, okay, it's literally every single day I have to wake up and ask the Lord to meet me all over again and to bring
Yeah.
me peace. And I don't know. I think that it's not something that we just get to eradicate. It's something that we actually get to invite Jesus into.
Hmm.
Um, and we get to like dwell with him in constantly, but it's a constant pursuit. What would you
Right.
say? What
Yeah, that just made me think about the Romans verse, of course, like that we need to have our mind renewed every day because the devil is constantly, he's just surrounding us, right? He's trying to push our buttons, he's trying to, get us to believe lies, like all the things, but he doesn't have any power over us if we keep our mind on the truth. I think that's the whole that's the whole part that we have to wake up and do every day.
Yeah.
Um, I think about why I don't do that sometimes or why others don't do that. I think sometimes we just get distracted. I've
Yeah.
realized how many distractions there are. And it's, yeah, it's just, it is a constant battle because sometimes I wish I could just not ever get on Instagram again or go to a flip phone or not have a cell phone or whatever, but that's just not the world that we live in, and not what he's called us to be in this space, us as people that help other people with their health, right? We have to be the light and share
Mhm.
the truth. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's good though for listeners to hear like we struggle too. Like, I
Totally.
think some people think everybody, maybe the person that they follow or this person or that person has it all together and doesn't struggle. That is a lie.
Right. Exactly. Like they're in
Yeah.
that sphere because they struggle. Like I tell people that all the time. I'm like,
Yeah.
if you guys don't realize it yet by now, this is all because I need to tell myself 100 times a day to do
Yeah.
these things that I'm saying, or because I'm walking
Right.
through them or whatever. But yeah, nobody has it all together. And if anything, like I just think it's a gift that we get to teach people to continue to pursue Jesus, even in the places where they feel the most chaotic, even in the places they feel most anxious. That's actually like the holiest ground, you know? Like,
Yeah.
don't wait until circumstances are different to seek the Lord or to pursue Him. Like, when you feel so overwhelmed with fear, or your body's freaking out, and you're not used to it being a symptom that maybe has like come on recently or whatever it may be,
Yeah.
like bring it to the Lord, invite him into it, ask him like, man, Lord, this is how I'm feeling. This is why I'm so anxious about this. Like, show me what you want to show me. Teach me what you want to teach me. Like, bring me peace
Yeah.
because I feel anxious. And I just think that like if we can just talk to God more, so
Mhm.
much of like the things that we experience could shift.
Yeah. And you talked about just connecting and talking to the Lord, like getting practical. What are your ways that you like to do that? Like if people are like, I don't really know how to connect with the Lord. I don't really feel like I can talk to him. I know that he's always there, but it's like I really think it's distractions. I think it's just we don't really give the time and space, right? We cram our life full of just doing, constant doing. And I know I've definitely been guilty of that because I'm a doer.
Yeah. Oh, same. Listen, it
Yeah.
is ridiculous. I will scale a building to clean the window. Like, I just cannot stop. So
Right.
that's definitely my struggle too. But um, Ruthless Elimination of Hurry is another really good book. But yeah, I think that like rhythms have always been a big thing for me, and I will talk on end about them. But I'm a big rhythm person because I know how prone I am to being in this constant state of going. So I don't turn my phone on for the first hour that I'm awake, just so I can give myself space to literally sit with the Lord and set myself up to walk into my day in peace. So I spend time with the Lord. Obviously, I eat breakfast, but I just start out slow.
Mhm.
And then, I mean, by 6, 7 p.m., I put my phone away. And again, honestly, I just am trying to mitigate distraction because
Yeah.
when I don't have distraction, I usually choose better options. So I am big on that and big on the Sabbath. That is huge.
Yeah.
So phones off on Sundays and I am resting, whatever that looks like, whatever feels
Mhm.
restful with my husband, um, and we're really big on those things because they're pillars in our life that if we don't have these rhythms, then we're just going to burn out the
Yeah.
candle on both ends. So, yeah, I think that as far as like talking to the Lord, I feel like I talk to him all day as things come up.
Yeah.
But I definitely notice like the more busy that I am, the more I have to implement like more pillars to help me to slow down. Like whether that's just not listening to a podcast while I'm making food
Yeah.
or not listening to anything while I'm on a drive. Like the more that I can invite that place of solitude, not isolation, solitude,
Mhm.
and silence, like God is so present in silence, and like you said, I just think that sometimes we just don't have enough of that to ever even
Yeah.
hear his voice. But what would you say for you? Like, where are some of your rhythms?
Oh, definitely. Very similar to you. I really try to obviously start my day off with just quiet and any chance I can get to be quiet. I love quiet, actually. Um, but, I'm just thinking about the person that feels like they can't do that. I just can't be still, or I just can't have quiet because then I start thinking about a million things. I just wonder about your journey, just being in a dark place or having depressive thoughts or whatever. Like, how did you walk through that, and how did you be able to sit in stillness and have that margin, I guess, to
Yeah,
hear from the
that's
Lord?
a great question. By force, I felt like.
Yeah.
I think that everything kind of blew up in my face a little bit in my life to where no matter if I was busy or if I was silent, it felt like I was thinking about the things I didn't want to think about. And I think that was one of the greatest gifts God gave me because it made me realize that I either face this or I start doing things to cope that are going to end up being really toxic. And I don't
Yeah.
want to live my life like that. Like addiction runs in my family, alcoholism. And so
Mhm.
I I didn't want that. And I just kind of got to the crossroads of like, I either end up in a chronic state of coping and I'm completely disassociated all my life, or I choose to face things and I feel them and they're really hard for about 30 seconds to a minute and then they pass through. And that was something that the Lord really showed me is like, I'm going to be with you in your emotions, whereas before you were just off in your isolated experience
Yeah.
of your emotion, and that's really dangerous. But I want to
Hmm.
be in it. And I didn't get to the depths that I used to get to that were so dark because I wasn't walking with the Lord. I had no opportunity to experience those emotions with Him.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it was just like experiencing emotion with God and then realizing that it was actually healing and not hurtful. And he would just say, Linden, I know that this is a lot, but I just want you to brace yourself and like let the wave hit and let it pass through. And then
Yeah.
it won't knock you over next time. And so I just kind of learned to get in this rhythm of like, I'm just going to feel the emotion for the wave that it comes, and then it'll pass, and I'll feel so much better.
Hmm.
And as I've allowed that to happen, and I've started to face the things, because usually it's not everything in your life, it's maybe two big things that kind of eat at you from your past or
Yeah.
even your present um, that we're not willing to face. And if you're willing to sit down and face those things and feel them, then healing can actually happen. And it does take about 30 seconds of courage,
Yeah.
genuinely. And I used to tell myself that, like, Lyndon, 30 seconds of courage. When I had to process sexual trauma and like really, really grieve it,
Yeah.
it was about, I mean, I really went into it, but it was about an hour where I have never cried so hard in my life and felt like everything was just getting expelled from my body. And that sucked. It hurt. It
Yeah.
was hard. I hated it, but I have never felt more free and better
Mhm.
since. And I've never had to cry that hard again. It's just like,
Yeah.
I just think we need that 30 seconds or that 30 minutes of courage. And then we get to see that, oh, that wasn't as scary as it seemed to be at first.
Right. Definitely. He talks a lot about that in that book, Living Fearlessly, about how
Yeah.
whenever we're truthful with ourselves and with the Lord, like that is healing. And
Yeah.
even through, some studies I've done on nervous system, I mean, that really is what helps to heal our nervous system because it helps to process those emotions that are stored.
Totally.
Do I was wondering, do you use journaling in that process or what does that look like?
Yeah, journaling has literally saved my life. I mean,
Yeah,
honestly, if
I'm a big journal fan as well.
oh my gosh, if I didn't have it, I think I would keel over. I mean, as soon as my husband and I get in a fight, it's like my journal's open and I'm just ferociously in it. And he's like, "Are you writing about me?" Like, yes, I am. But yeah, no, I journal everything. I think that that's been something that's really helped me to hear God's voice and to stay with his voice and not get so distracted.
Yeah.
Is when I can write out what he's saying and what I'm saying, obviously.
Mhm.
That really helps me to just zone in. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I process out, I ask God questions, I write out how I'm feeling and the things that I'm honestly like I could never say this out loud. I journal.
Yeah.
But if I feel like I need to get something out of my body, then I do go in my car and I scream
Mhm.
because I have to. Like I have to
Yeah.
get it out. So yeah, but for the most part, like I journal probably at least two, three, four times a day just because I need to for my mental health.
Yeah. But I mean, if you've never thought about that or if you've thought about journaling as like this overwhelming process, it doesn't have to be. Just literally start putting down your thoughts. I mean, it just doesn't have to be complicated. I think sometimes
No.
we make it complicated.
Yeah. Just write it out. I mean, just start writing, and if you're done writing, be done writing. But there's
Yeah.
literally no formula to it. Honestly, the more
Right.
I got a dotted line journal instead of aligned. And ever
Mhm.
since I did that, like I will write crazy ways in my journal, and I just got out of this weird type A habit with it where I was like, this can
Yeah.
be exactly what it needs to be healing. And I'm just gonna let myself, do what I want to do with it. So.
Right. I think there's definitely a level of creativity in healing. Do you?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a
I'm
really good.
learning a lot about that right now, actually. I'm reading this book called The Artist Way, which isn't necessarily a Christian book,
Book. That
but
is
it was
one of my favorite
oh my
books.
gosh. I'm on week 7, so I haven't
Oh,
finished it yet. It was actually recommended to me by a close Christian friend that I really respect. So I was like, I'm definitely getting this, even though it sounds like something that I would never get for myself.
Yes, no, oh my gosh, I think creativity is huge in healing.
Yeah. So
Totally. The imagination, being able to be childlike again, getting ourselves out. I mean, probably 99% of my clients would categorize themselves as type A perfectionists.
yeah, agree. A lot of our clients are as well.
So I think when it comes to creativity, it's like when you sit at a potter's wheel, you are
Mm,
totally going to have to be broken of every layer of perfectionism because it's going to
yeah.
be messy.
Messy.
And then, or if you were to sit and you were to paint the most beautiful painting that you were really proud of, and your instructor said, okay, now take a black Sharpie and axe through your entire painting. The type A perfectionist would be like, no, never. Their whole body would just go up in
Yeah.
hives, you know?
Right,
So
right.
it's like sometimes the best way to heal is by really going against the grain of like what we've used to keep us safe or to keep us calm that's really not ever going to sustain itself or sustain us.
Yes. Oh my gosh, we could talk a long time about that. But
Yes.
um I'm wondering as we kind of close, I want to talk about the toxic wellness culture a little bit, but I'm just wondering, do you have like a verse or something that has really been special to you like as you've gone through your healing journey?
Yeah, I wowould say Psalm 23 is my life verse for
I do
sure.
love that. Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's definitely been my safe place for sure.
Yeah. I think we all need to have that, you know. So if you're just
Yeah.
listening and you're kind of like, well, I'm definitely feeling drawn to just lean into what the Lord is trying to do. Like, go search His Word, and He's
Yeah.
going to give you a verse that you can just memorize and just have in your head for truth. Because again, we're going to wake up and have lies fed to us, you know, from different sources. So having that truth is really we have to truly,
We
yeah.
do. Yeah, absolutely.
Um, so on the kind of topic of this wellness space, you know, I'm just wondering how, you know, we were kind of talking about being in the world but not of the world. How when did you realize that maybe this space that he's called you to, it can be sort of toxic, and what have you kind of done to, I guess, guard yourself from that?
Yeah, I think when he was starting to pull me out of honestly being in this obsessive mindset with it, like constantly consuming, constantly absorbing. And he kind of helped pull me back to just observe it.
Mhm.
I really started to see it then, but I think probably even more so with clients. And the
Yeah.
more that I work with people and the more that I'm honestly just able to even see other people in the space talk and communicate, I'm like, wow, you are dominated by so much fear. And that's what's really hard is I think that the reality is as practitioners, what's kind of put the fear of God in me is like what inner biome that I have, I give away. So
Mhm.
whether or not that I would like to act or believe or think differently than my internal experience is, the reality is the words that I speak are going to come from the depths of my heart.
Yeah.
And so I think that a lot of people, what I'm seeing and what the Lord's trying to remind me is don't judge these people. Like I'm giving you the wisdom to see and to pray over this God, really, like this demonic stronghold of fear in this space. And
Mhm.
I don't want you to use what you know and what you see as a weapon against them. I want you to use it as a weapon of warfare to help bring healing and freedom to them in ways that they don't even know that they need. They think that healing and freedom looks like not living in a house with mold or
Right.
not having heavy metals or drinking filtered water. That's not freedom.
Right.
And so I think that realizing the verbiage that they're using is a reflection of what they really believe and think, and maybe the places that they're captive in
Mhm.
has shown me a lot about, okay, wow, this is a lot deeper than people just trying to use fear tactics for marketing.
Yeah. Yeah, it does go back to where their heart posture is, and yeah, I agree. And yeah, I think it's easy though to be like an us versus them mentality, but for sure not. I truly believe that God places each one of us in circles and in spaces where we need to shine his light. And so sometimes it feels hard when, like you said, people aren't necessarily attuned to that. If you were to go
Mhm.
tell them that, they'd be like, that sounds ridiculous.
Oh, totally.
However, you don't know how God's going to work.
Hmm.
That's goes for us in this space, but also, of course, any of us, right? I mean, we need to show up and be shining the light of Jesus everywhere we go if we're Christian. So I just
Yep.
think it goes so much deeper, and nothing is by chance either. But
Mhm.
I think it's important though to realize the things that you take in. So I do like the idea of just whether it's like taking time off social media or unfollowing people. Like I think that's really important to consider. If, and maybe it's just an experiment. Maybe you're listening to this, you're like, well, I don't really know if it affects me that much. Why don't you just pay more attention to it? Pay more attention to what's showing up in your feed or what's showing up in your stories and decide, like, how does this make me feel? Does this make me feel helpful, like, sorry, hopeful or joy filled or whatever? Or does it make me feel more fearful or like I need to go, I don't know, do something that seems urgent, like in a bad way? I think there's just that will be a good litmus test, maybe.
Yes, that is a great way to approach it because honestly, your body will know right away if
Yeah.
you feel any of what you talked about. That's awesome. I agree.
Yeah.
Permission to unfollow. I don't know
Yeah.
why we have this thing where we think we
I
can't
don't
unfollow
know.
people. Unfollow them hundreds at a time if you have to.
Yeah, exactly. I'd have loved this conversation. I really wish that we could go on, and maybe we'll have to do another episode. Who knows? But
We
thank you
will. On
so
yours or
much.
mine, for sure.
No, I just am so passionate about. I am passionate about wellness, but even more so about Jesus because he's the ultimate healer. He's our firm foundation. He's the one that wants to walk with us through this journey, whether it's our health or anything else, right? He's just with us all the time. And so I just loved what you shared. And I pray that it encourages people to just take some time, journal, listen to the Lord, get in his word. And it is truly so freeing and healing, much more than any supplement that we could take, anything else that we can do. So I hope that you feel encouraged to go do that.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And seriously, it's such a blessing to be able to learn from you and to hear from you because genuinely, like, it's so rare to find people in this space that are
Mhm.
like you and have the heart for the Lord like you. So she's the real deal, y'all, on and off camera. That is rare. So thank
It
you.
is. You are as well. So I appreciate you coming on and hopefully we'll see you again. But until next time, everybody.
Yeah.